Okay.
I don't know what our ratings are, but I've had zero reaction. I suspect it'll get better as we consider this. Welcome to our meeting, all. Before we start, we will acknowledge that we're meeting on the traditional and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, particularly the Abaquit First Nation. And we will also observe a moment of silence for the children and those who, and even survivors of the residential school system. Thank you. Okay. Declarations of conflict of interest. Anybody come into a lot of money or anything lately?
We all depend.
Yeah.
Well, we've stolen them like crazy out of the counselors' desks, so we're very happy about that. Okay, no conflicts of interest that I hear. Okay, approval of the agenda. The agenda has one item on it, short-term rental actions by this committee. Can we approve it by consensus?
Yeah, good.
Okay, good. Okay, and approval of minutes. The minutes are in here. Thank you, Robin, for the guts of these minutes. And does anyone have any modifications or anything else to the minutes? Complaints? Okay, we'll entertain a motion for approval so we can make them official. Moved by Jamie, seconded by Paul. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Very, very enthusiastic ayes. Excellent. Okay. So business arising is what we're talking about, and that is short-term rental actions by this committee. Robin, did I drop a discussion thing on your desk that just to guide our discussions? Does it look like this?
Oh, wait, yeah.
That's good. Okay, so these are just a guide for us to the things that I think we have to consider. If you think we have to consider something else, be happy to add to it. The fact that we need some options we need to consider what our position is, okay, on the short-term rentals, first of all. And the second part of that, potential actions by committee, is we have to consider how we're going to communicate that position, okay? One of the Roberts, Robert Silke and Alex are here as resources, and what we'd like to do is ask them questions just in terms of process, and then they're free to leave, so it's obvious that they're not participating in our discussions. Okay? You okay with that, Robert? You're not upset or anything? Okay, good. Been thrown out of nicer places than this, right? Yeah. I've been thrown out of worse. Okay. So the public meeting is what date for sure?
It's November 9th at 7 o'clock. Convention Center.
Yep. November 9 at 7. Does it have the official, this is all done at 9 o'clock because the rental's over?
I don't think we made that determination. This is a pretty, this is a different meeting. This is a public meeting. The other one was more of an informal meeting. So council typically is obligated to hear everybody who's there and not shut the meeting down unless it goes really, really late. But they will limit the participation for most people to likely like a 5-minute presentation because there will be a lot of people that wish to present.
Okay. And the attendance isn't limited by COVID this time?
I think that if Ellen was here, but I think that that place can hold up to 1,000 people. So if we got 1,000 people,
That's a lot of 5-minute presentations.
Right.
Okay, so we'll see about that.
And just to interrupt, Mr. Chairman, not to, but what will happen is...
It's
that
okay,
the-
you owe me about 10 interruptions.
Right. But when you go to the meeting, the purpose of the meeting is to inform, and then for whoever's in the meeting, is then for them, with this information that's provided, make their own determination as to their position based upon the information that's there. So I would think as this group, you would likely want to formulate what you want to say at the meeting as well as what you want to submit at the meeting. You may tailor that a little bit, your written submission. You may find out something at the public meeting that clarifies something. You don't have to reiterate that, but that's just normally how the process works. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that this committee, though, would make a recommendation into the public meeting? You're not saying that, you're just saying that people making a recommendation.
Well, you folks have got to participate, well, and should be
We might.
participating in
We
the
will.
process. And it's just a matter of that is the general format for doing that. So you would speak at the public hearing. I'm going to clarify this on behalf of the chair. We had a little discussion there earlier. You are a committee of council, and it's a little bit different. So I may need to get some assistance in regard to how you would participate. I'm assuming it's the same as everyone else, but I will provide the chairman with some clarity on that.
Yeah, and I've asked Alex to inquire of the city's legal advisor where we are in that, and also our process to submit what we want to say through the various channels of council to see. We don't want to mess with the process, because then at some point someone could go back and say, no, the process was flawed, we either start all over or this doesn't count or something. So we don't want to mess with that. So we're actually behaving. So, okay.
So can I ask a question? So,
Yes, please.
all right, so I thought we submit our recommendations to council. Is that correct?
The planning committee, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be the planning committee is there's a lot of committees here.
Sure.
So the planning committee oversees the planning department,
Yeah.
but the process on all amendments to the zoning bylaw are through planning board and council, and it's that process of when you're dealing with amendments in the zoning bylaw are very rigidly dealt with. The planning committee deals with the budget. What they're going to give you next year. It's
Yeah.
kind of high level,
Okay.
but this process has got to be followed to a T. That's why they have the Island Regulatory Appeals Commission to review it, to make sure that everybody participated fairly. And the issue is that the way the system is set up is that it's intended that everybody is in the room at the same time, and that there are not necessarily these side discussions that other people are not aware of. So we need to clarify, since you are a committee of council, I'm assuming it's the same, but the chair has asked me to clarify that on your behalf. So we will do that, but clearly the main event for this committee will be at that forum of the public hearing. And I suspect, I'm not telling the committee what to do, but you'd like to have a spokesperson that you would clarify what you want to say.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is that okay, Jane?
Oh, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
and I have another question too, and probably Robert, in the process, the original recommendation from planning board or council or somebody has been rescinded, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we're sitting clear of any recommendations.
The only recommendation was that they rescinded scenario 4, which they voted on last year, March 2020.
Right.
That's been rescinded through the past council meeting to proceed scenario 1, I guess, which would be allowing STR in any dwelling unit except for an apartment, and it has to be the principal dwelling unit. So council's decided, elected to move forward with staff's recommendation to the public meeting.
Okay, so their desire, so it's not clear, like a totally clear landscape. Their desire is to proceed out of the recommendation from your department with option one.
Yeah,
Or something based on option one.
Basically to receive public input on option one, basically,
Yeah.
yes. Council hasn't made their declaration on which option they're gonna pursue. That occurs after the public meeting. Once they receive public feedback, then staff would present a final recommendation and the council would vote on that. But for all intents and purposes, council is going to put out scenario one or option one to the public meeting in November.
Okay, the public meeting is about option one.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And council will meet to consider the reactions they got from this meeting and any other submissions when?
So, again, that's all a regimented process. They don't see anything. It loops back to the planning board, goes back to planning board, to Robert will do up a report. He'll indicate in general, because there'll be hundreds of submissions, in general, we'll likely put submissions in buckets. 20 constituents had this concern, 12 had this concern, but we will want to answer the questions when it ends up at council. So planning board will make a recommendation based upon, and they attend the meetings as well, they'll make a recommendation back to council to stay at one or wherever they think they're comfortable. They'll recommend to council, and then council takes the whole package of all the written submissions, the planning board's recommendation, staff recommendation, what they heard at the public meeting, and then they will decide at council that evening as to which direction they wish to take.
And when would that be?
It's a week after the planning board meeting. Like if it looped back really quickly, we would be, it'd be the second Monday in November. But I would caution,
It's pretty quick.
but I would caution because of the intake that we're going to possibly receive at the public hearing. Staff may have to say, look, we can't turn this around. This isn't a little variance. I mean, we've got a ton of submissions that we have to pour through. And our job is to inform council as to not only the process, but what they heard, and then give some assistance in regard to responding to some of those concerns that we hear from the public. And then planning board and council will make the determination of what their final position is.
Okay. More questions before I have a couple more?
That makes sense.
Good. Seating at the meeting are there reserved seats? Can we have a reserved seat?
You call in, those will be coming up very soon. So it's like just getting tickets to an event. You're gonna call and you get individual tickets. If you want to sit as a group, you may tell the ticket person that you're some kind of a group and you would like tickets in a section for 5, 6, 7, whatever you would like to have in as tickets, and they will produce the tickets for you.
Okay, so we're not just individual members of the public.
Well, I will clarify that for you. I mean,
Okay, we all want to be there.
Right.
We all want to hear it.
Right.
We also want to make a presentation.
Right.
And
there's no problem somebody making a presentation on behalf of this committee.
Yeah.
Or speaking, anybody on this committee can speak.
Yeah. So, but we'd like to have a seat. We'd like to be in there.
Yeah, and there's, you can just, and those seats I think are going to be coming available what's today, Tuesday? I think they're available tomorrow as of Wednesday, that they're available to be
Are
booked.
they gonna be, last time there was like online, is it gonna be like that or is it gonna be different?
You mean getting the tickets online? I think it's likely the same as the last time.
It's Confederation Center that does it, yeah, okay.
And it'll be in the,
Okay. Jamie?
I just wanted to comment, I'm going to be in the province.
Okay. Then
we have an option for you, if you so desire, you can participate by WebEx.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting if you're in some exotic locale in Tibet.
I'll be an exact locale.
Or we can do like the Blue Jays at COVID and we can get a nice little
We'll be there in person, yeah.
picture of you, cardboard cutout.
Yep.
Okay, so, more questions for Robert or Mr. Forbes? Scott, where'd it go? Yes. Any questions before we dismiss them? Go gobble their lunch? Okay, thank you very much.
So again, thank
And
you.
you're gonna check and
Yeah,
get back to me?
I
Yep.
will get back to
Good, good.
the chairman, and we'll go from there. You can, when Robert, when you're finished at the meeting, and make sure that you sign, do I have everybody sign signature? Perfect, I got that, so that's fine. Mr. Chairman, if you have any questions after the meeting, by all means, we're available. You can contact me, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Okay, be careful what you wish for. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the most important part of the discussion, I think, is what we want to say. So we'll do that first. Floor is open.
So you want to do,
So I'm looking
change
at,
to option 1?
yeah, do we want to change,
I think.
do we want to support option one? We won't even say change. We'll say the
Yeah.
committee now is very supportive of the recommendations by planning department.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But there's, number 2, the qualifications on that, right? Is that what we're saying, number 2, A, B?
that's a completely different, not completely different, that's the next thing, I
Yeah,
think.
well, yeah, but they go hand in hand, I guess.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
And we may not even want to do number 2 at this
Well,
moment.
yeah, I think the only way it might be politically, I don't know, but it might be only be politically acceptable if one of 2A or B or something, or some other option in terms of grandfathering is included. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's, speaking practically,
Yes.
it's the only way it's moving,
Yeah, yeah.
I would think.
I
Yeah,
think it's the only way it could.
Yeah.
I did say that in the very first meeting when we voted.
Yeah.
That, you know, I said option 1. Maybe
Yeah.
you remember it. I also said that
yeah,
there would have to be some sort of
Yeah.
grandfathering clause for people who owned
Yeah.
short-term rentals, say 5, 10 years ago, or whatever the date is you want to pick. Anyway,
yeah. So we won't put it in the minutes, but you definitely win the historical record here. Definitely, being prescient. Okay. So we're agreed that we would support the planning, whatever they are, board, planning board recommendation
yeah.
that we proceed with option 1. Okay, let's do that as a motion. We'll figure out what the motion says, but it means that.
Sorry, could I just ask a question? So that
Sure.
option 1, I couldn't quite hear you, and I'm in favor of that, and that would be with the grandfathering clause in?
We haven't tacked that on yet.
Not there, okay.
This is just the,
Sure.
The base
broader
here.
piece, okay.
yeah.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so who wants to move it?
I will.
Robin, second? Paul? Slow, Jamie, it's like Jeopardy, you gotta be ready, you gotta be ready. Anyway, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Good, okay. So, that's a yes, that we're doing that. Now, do we want to discuss grandfathering? Because as Paul has pointed out months ago, that that's probably the only way it's going to proceed and get enough support from the community and council particularly. So there's all sorts of options for grandfathering, like they could say, you have to sell or convert your short-term rentals in a building in which you do not live by 5 years from now, to give them 5 years to do it.
That seems like a long time.
That's too long.
Yeah, I agree, but, or, it might be, and then the minimum, I would think, is you would have 1 year to do this.
Right.
I think, yeah, 1 year is even like a really long time. Like, I know if it was shorter than that, a lot of people, you know, would not like that, but yeah, a year seems to be the least we could do without having people be like, no, without having short-term rental owners.
Well,
be upset.
they'll still be like, no.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
They'll be like, no to all of this, I would assume.
Oh, yeah, duh,
But-
but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There may be unforeseen though circumstances why somebody might not sell, you know, like it's hard.
Yeah. yeah, it's hard to do, we can make a recommendation.
Yes.
Like ours is the easy part, we recommend this. And then it's council and the staff here that that have the hard part, trying to put it together in something that's palatable.
Any extension upon that would have to be approved by somebody.
Yeah, and they'd have to have a board, probably,
Right.
to look into it,
Yeah.
which would be someone.
Maybe it's a valid excuse and maybe it's not.
Yeah.
If someone is selling or can't sell, or
Yeah,
maybe they listed it but they can't sell, maybe they listed it too high, you don't know. Or maybe
I mean,
because
the
of
market,
the market's so high. and
the market's
you
so
flood it.
hot, like, if you could
Yeah.
sell
You
anything
should-
for any price right now, basically.
well,
It
I
just started
think
to calm down some though.
we have a number of units
Yeah.
in the city that will be affected by this. And
How many is that?
I
How many
don't know,
is there?
it varies like crazy. It doesn't shrink either.
Hundreds.
Yeah,
Well, see, if you put all those on the market at the same time, it could be negatively impacting. I'm not saying that they should be negatively impacted, but, you know, people are gonna cry about that, right?
oh,
Maybe.
scream,
Yeah.
scream. The effect, what we have is a crisis though. Like, people have nowhere to live.
Yeah.
Like, just, and affordable housing is an issue everywhere. If we were thrown out of our housing right now, for some reason, without insurance or anything, but if we were thrown out of our housing, where would we live?
Even I'm in that boat,
Yeah.
I can't afford to pay rent.
Same.
No,
I don't
no,
have a house, but good goddamn, thank God I bought it 20 years ago.
yeah, exactly, and I'm in a rent-protected apartment, thank God.
Yeah.
But that's the issue. So we're in a crisis, really, people, just straight-out crisis. So you need something,
So,
as I mentioned last time, radical. And I think if we want the 1 year, you have to convert or sell.
I
and-
think, yeah.
But if we want that, what the effects would be, me being a housing genius, but the effects would seem to be that the number of available units was suddenly, for long-term rental, for actually living in a place, would suddenly expand really high.
What we need to also consider though is, I don't know how this works, but if someone's been renting something short term for so long, like, we have rent control, but we don't have a rental registry. So what's stopping all of these people from, all the short term rental owners, from just yeeting these things on the market, these units on the market for whatever price that they want? Like, what if I'm a short term rental owner, I haven't
Good
long term
point.
rented my apartment in 7 years, and the previous rent is $750. I'm not doing that, I'm used to my big money. I'm gonna list it for $3,000 now. What's stopping me from doing that on a mass scale when we have no rental registry? We just have these things that say tenants are protected, and it falls on the tenant to find out what the previous rent was.
So
You know what I'm saying?
I would think any part of this would require a rental registry.
I think so too.
Anything,
100%.
anything they do or don't do.
Because we have to foresee, like, obviously these things are good, but it's like, we have to, you know, it's like a trampoline, if you bounce, like, you're double bouncing, you know what I mean? It's a reaction.
How do you set the appropriate rent though for a short-term rental? It's been a short-term rental, say for 3 years. You know, and then you're gonna say,
Yeah.
well, what should the rent be? And if you say it's market rent, well, market rents are still pretty high. So that's
I think-
not gonna
I think
really
market,
work either. I don't know what the solution is.
I think market price will be set by the market. And if suddenly there are hundreds
Yeah.
of available places, and by suddenly I mean within a year or two even.
Right.
Suddenly, then the market, the price for the rental price isn't, they can put 3,000 a month or 4,000 a month or 5,000 a month on a house
Yeah.
and nobody's renting.
Yeah.
You may as well build a house. So, but one of the other things that's going to happen when you suddenly you have this many properties converted to long-term rental is that housing prices, those properties are not worth as much.
Yeah.
Housing, and neither is anybody else's,
Yeah.
which is another issue. But housing, affordable housing includes being able to buy a house.
Yeah.
And this would likely at least, probably only, stabilize prices rather than drop them.
Probably.
I would, like, you know, the pressure right now is this way. And this would be a circuit breaker, to coin a term. But, you know, so it would make housing more affordable on another level too. Fine.
There's a lot of recommendations you need to come forward with making the housing market, you know, more affordable, which is probably outside of our lane a little bit, you know,
Yeah, it is.
but that doesn't matter, we can still.
We can recommend anything we want.
You know, we can make recommendations that the province could approve. If it's a good idea and they accept it,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who made the recommendation.
Yeah.
And I agree, I think the 5 years is too long.
Way too long. By then, like, it won't even have made a difference.
Yeah.
I think 1 year is good. I think the second option, I don't know. I just want it to be so that there's as much housing provided as possible, because it's getting to the point now where it's like, it's literally scary. Like, I don't want anyone to be able to keep an extra property empty when literally, like, I know hundreds of homeless people who have jobs. Like, do you know what I mean? So I
What
think A is better than B.
What I was thinking of with the idea of giving them the possibility of one
Just so just give them a little.
outside, give them a little longer, is what I'm thinking are the people who have bought one property.
Oh, I see. So someone who has a house
They've,
and then
they've,
maybe a cottage.
they've a house, well, oh, no, but
Whatever.
they bought another house in Charlottetown, understanding they can afford their mortgage because of short-term rentals for that.
Yeah, okay.
And all of a sudden, they're, like, I'm not thinking of the people that have 2 or 3
Yeah,
buildings.
Commercial operators kind of.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
not
sure.
thinking of them, I'm thinking of the
Yeah.
mom and pop, this is our retirement income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you put down on paper then, though?
That's what I tried to be there. 1 year to convert and sell all non-compliant properties with the exception of one property.
What if we make
So you
that
keep
only
one.
apply to non-commercial owners? Is that possible?
I,
Do you know what I'm saying?
it's, well, then,
Like non,
yeah.
you know how last time we were kind of talking about how companies owning STRs were often the ones who hoarded the most? What if we somehow made B so that it doesn't apply to those people? To those companies? I should
Well, if
say.
they would have to divest them, or convert or sell their properties except for one, because they don't live in
Yeah, I
their
guess that would
properties.
make them mom and pop if they only have one.
Yeah, because, you know, their property might be a 5-unit building, but, or a 10-unit building.
Yeah.
Be a little pushback from the business community from those people that own them, obviously, but,
Yeah,
yeah.
And I wonder if we can change that, which may be grandfathered in 3 years, and maybe make a bit more of a definitive statement around it will
Okay.
or won't.
what are you
But if we
suggesting?
Sometimes then leaves it too broad and open for interpretation by the receiver of information, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a question
Like
of,
which will be grandfathered in or not, yeah.
yeah, and their possibility is not, or, yeah, that's, it's
Which will
vague
be
there.
whatever. Yeah.
1 year to convert and or sell all non-compliant properties with the exception of one property, which can be or will be,
Yeah, which will be.
or can be, you don't have to grandfather it in.
Is there a way of making that more specific? It's
Yeah,
just that
that's what I'm
we're
thinking.
interpreting it right now.
Yeah,
And so some other people can interpret it, and I know I interpret policy, bank policy differently than other people do.
Right, exactly, yeah,
So,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna have a
Yeah.
different interpretation.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I'm sure the 4 of us have a different interpretation each too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And once again, I'll go back to, it is a recommendation, so it's not a
Yeah.
binding thing. That's kind of why I want to meet with somebody and have a back and forth about it instead of just sending a memo.
Yeah.
Not so much the public meeting, but at some point. Anyway, okay. So we like the 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie, you okay with 1 year?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, I am.
okay. Thank you, sorry.
Yeah.
Now, about the grandfathering. The grandfather, none of them? One per building? I'm not comfortable with anything, one per owner, I'm not comfortable with anything else, with
Like, you
anything
mean
wider.
Past the 1 year? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the grandfathering would be for 3 years for one property. I'm not,
Oh, I see.
I'm not comfortable with saying with some of their properties.
Okay.
What about a short-term operator, let's say that, say 5 or 10 years ago, that had 2 or 3 at that time, you're eliminating that, right? Yeah.
Yeah? Those of you that are listening in, I'll say yes, rather than just nod. What do you think?
We don't know the scope of the problem and how many people own them going back 3 or 4 years ago.
No,
It
and
started growing big time though then.
Yeah.
I think for me, it doesn't matter when they started,
Yeah.
because that's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is that they're there, not so much when they started, you know? So, you don't solve the problem by saying, okay, you guys are okay and you guys are not. I think the more properties we can get released,
Yeah.
regardless of how long you've had it. But this discussion will happen with loud voices for the next few months.
I think Alex is scared for the public meeting.
Well, I don't know about that. He doesn't want the process tampered with. And
Who's that?
Alex.
Yeah.
That-
No, yeah, for sure, because we had to like go back to square one.
Yeah. And nobody would pull it, nobody would question it until late in the process too.
Yeah.
So,
I think there is a little bit of risk of that happening, like
Yep, yep.
a lot of.
Oh, yeah, we're not dealing with
Yeah.
people without means to
Yeah.
do that, yeah.
It's people with money, for the most part.
Yep,
I was at I belong to another group called the Charlottetown Executive Association, I don't know if you ever heard of that. But Cecil Belair is representing the short-term operators. I forget what they call it, basically tenants association.
yes, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he spoke,
So, yeah,
spoke to at the meeting, but he was primarily speaking about his career. And he mentioned that he was doing this now too.
yeah, I know
But
Cecil's
he's got
doing it.
little sympathy.
Yeah.
you know,
Well-
For, obviously, because you get paid to do.
Yeah, well, when you have the means to hire someone to look at that, you also have the means to hire lawyers to investigate or examine the process and things, which is perfectly fine. That's what you want. You don't want a flawed process at all. I think what I did here is that we would perhaps amend our first one to say support for the process based on option 1, but also including a rental registry.
I'd like that, yeah.
We'll go with that or just a separate thing?
I think we need like some sort of mention of like, obviously regulating SGRs is good, but it's like, okay, now what? You know what I mean? Now, what's gonna,
We do that.
you know?
You need to determine what the rent will be, which is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
That's another thing. My rental registry is just like, even without all this,
Yeah.
my thought about it, we need a rental
It's a good go
registry.
forward. It's an excellent go forward.
Yeah.
Right, but
Yeah.
And that's something you can grab and go.
that's slightly separate though. But that could be another recommendation.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
okay.
it's a separate recommendation, but
I
sort
feel
of
like it's-
overarching.
Yeah.
Okay, let's make a separate motion
Sure.
and we'll include them all. So Robin, you move that. Did the city establish a second, or a rental registry? Who will second?
Yeah.
Okay, Jamie. All those in favor? Aye, good. Okay, so that's
Yeah. and I-
a recommendation too. We'll write it up really smart.
Yeah, we will.
Now the grandfathering period.
Yes.
What do you want? Just stick with the one and let other people knock it down to include one more residence or one more building, or submit that right away?
I think just 1 year.
I'd say 1 year with the ability to apply, or if there's a valid reason, whatever the reasons are. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's,
Like on an exception basis or something like
yeah,
that? or-
maybe an
Yeah.
exception basis, just I don't know, but
For valid reasons to be determined.
yeah, that would have to be like a committee or something, not us, but.
We're working, we're trying to understand what those exceptions would be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we're not gonna figure it out, are we?
Even if you own 2 homes, the market is still incredibly hot, you can sell off your second home and be perfectly fine. If anything, you'll be better off. Because your home is worth more than when you bought it.
Yeah.
Unless people all just start selling their short-term rental properties at once. But even in that case, there's so many people still looking for homes that it's like, it's gonna take a while for it to cool down.
You won't recoup your investment, I wouldn't think. Do you think?
What's that?
You know better than me. If I had to sell the property I bought in April to do this, if I had to sell it, would I recoup my investment?
Depends if you, how much money you put into it.
Yeah,
I
if
mean,
you renovate
Yeah.
it and-
Yeah,
I signed for my daughter to buy a house, right? In July, and I put 10,000 into it so far, and I've got to fix the basement, which is another 15 grand. So if I had to sell that right now, well, after spending that, I might not make money.
but,
I probably wouldn't.
yeah, the way the market's going, you
The whole real
might.
estate, like the real
Yeah.
estate game, you know, when I lived in Toronto for years and you know, you kind of, you buy at a certain time because you need to buy at a certain time and then, you know, 5 years later you sell and you wish you had kept it because, you know, it's triple. So part of that is just market.
We're just not used to having something what's going on in the last couple of years here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's common in Toronto.
Or
It's
anywhere.
never been common here, but
Yeah.
it could be common going forward, right? So we don't know.
Sure.
How about if we recommend the 1 year to convert or sell and indicate that our discussions revolved around the ability to grandfather in one property
Sure.
for 3 years, but,
In addition to their personal residence, you're saying?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but our discussions revolved around that, but we will leave that to whether they can have an extra property or not, leave that to council or whoever.
Is that copy of?
Hmm? What?
Is that copy of?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, based on some potential
I
rest
want
of the
some more
market.
input from other people to see what they, you know what I mean? Like, I want someone
Yeah.
else to say what they think.
Okay.
Outside of us too.
And
So-
we can vote by email too, like we
Yeah.
don't have to.
Sure, yeah.
In my opinion, we
The other
don't,
members, yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
final recommendation could come that way.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I will say, well, we've got a quorum, but I will send it to the other members,
Sure.
to all the members, and say, what are your feelings about this?
That's a good idea.
And do you,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
and we're not gonna meet before the public meeting, but we can discuss things on email if we can get them to answer. And if nothing else at the public meeting, we can say this is what we decided.
Yeah, regardless, I'm gonna be at the public meeting.
Yeah.
Whether it's with my friends.
Okay, so, one year to convert a grandfathering period for the current short-term rentals outside their principal residence, 1 year to convert all non-compliant properties to long-term rentals or sell it. And we will also include that we had this discussion, but we think that's discussion for a later time. So, I'll move it. Tired of you people moving things. And, seconder? Paul, another enthusiastic way. Okay, in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Against? Okay. Okay, now, next section, potential actions. I would assume we'll send this to council, our recommendation.
I tried to clarify that today.
I know.
I'm still not sure, because I thought we report to the planning board.
We do, but he said with this, because the council's thrown it open for things, well,
Well, we should CC both then or something.
yeah, okay, to both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Both.
Okay, we'll do that in writing.
yeah.
Now, skipping down to the speaking at the public meeting as a committee. Like, we should be able, I think, to have one person speak. This is what this committee thinks,
Yeah.
Should be the chair.
probably. But if somebody else wants to do it,
I you don't want to, but I think you're really good at talking.
okay, and once again, be careful what you wish for. I can do that, okay? And we've agreed on the message. The message is just this discussion. This is what we support, including the rental registry, and
Yeah, if
this,
you want, we can email too, and we can add.
yeah, we can mess with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Individual presentations. You want to speak.
Oh, I absolutely have to.
Yeah,
All that.
so the thing is, you wouldn't speak as a member of this committee.
No, I just speak as the person who did that protest.
Yeah, and you would say, I'm a member of this committee, but I'm speaking as an individual.
I'm not
Yeah.
even sure she has to identify herself as a member of the committee.
I'm not really sure I've
If
done
it's
myself by myself at all. I think everyone will just be like, it's that.
Well,
girl
they ask
again."
your name or
Yeah, she
something.
is.
They'll ask your name all
Yeah, I know,
for the
I know.
record.
I know.
You can come up with a phony one.
That'd be funny.
So you can speak as, not as a member of the committee, but yourself,
A member
for
of the
sure.
public.
We don't have an issue with any of us speaking,
No.
right? Guarantee I'll speak once, but,
I'm gonna try to, but if one of my friends, like, I know a lot of my friends will be there, and if they need the mic, I'm just gonna let them, but
yeah.
probably try to see them.
Yeah, and the only thing I think we need to be concerned about is one of the committee standing up and saying, well, I don't agree with that, what the
Yeah.
committee said. I think we should go much farther. And,
I don't think that'll happen.
okay, it's just us.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not gonna say anything at me, so.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna be away. You phone it in.
Dial in,
Huh?
I could dial in.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, you can phone it in. Anyway,
So what
so,
you're saying, there's some potential, not risk, I guess, but.
well, you don't want to dilute our message.
No.
So that's why you wouldn't stand up and,
Identify yourself.
you can identify yourself, but you wouldn't say, I don't believe this.
Right.
No, I'd make it known that I'm going along with you. You know what I'm saying?
Go along with the committee, yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to identify, just to identify yourself as a member of the public, say, I am a member of the committee, but I'm speaking as myself.
Exactly.
And I do support, the committee is unanimous in their support, and these are the other points I want to make.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay, good. And Alex will come back to me with where this goes and
Right.
how it goes. Like, I don't think we're just members of the public, being a council committee, a committee of council. We're a creation of the planning board. And so, I think we may be going through those channels. So us requesting a meeting with them would not be out of bounds at all. But we'll let the city's legal person,
Yeah, I don't know.
because I don't know, I want something where we can go back and forth,
Yeah.
rather than just
I
send
don't
a
think
note
that's
off.
unreasonable. I think that's
I don't
a
know.
good idea.
Also, I don't want to screw up the process.
Alice is
Yeah.
very much into staying in your own lane.
Yeah,
That's, you know,
yeah, there's that, yeah. We're definitely not having a side meeting,
like, you know,
that he was referring to.
yeah.
It would be, like we'd be on the agenda somewhere. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anything else? We'll wait and see what it looks like, the motions and everything. We know what they say, but we'll probably need your version of the minutes.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, like Monday?
Yeah, Jesus. Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, I'll bug the crap out of you.
Yeah, I did do that because
Okay.
you know, I'm forgetful.
Well, yeah, it's not, we all can claim forgetful. Okay, our next meeting would be third Monday in November. And probably the,
That's the day, when is the meeting, November 4th?
yeah.
So that'd be day before the meeting,
Hmm?
be day before the public meeting.
Public meetings the ninth,
No.
isn't it?
No, the 9th, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a third Tuesday in November, I'm sorry. Go with what I mean. And that would be 16th.
November 16th.
And I would assume that they'd still be gathering information. They wouldn't have their meeting yet, would they? We'll check it out. And we would have done our thing, so.
I don't think they'll be ready by that point.
Not if they get as many submissions as they think,
I think they will.
yeah. So it might get to planning board before.
Yeah, they wouldn't get the council for sure.
When do they meet? They meet on
Yeah.
second Monday or something? Third Monday? Okay, and they could always have special meetings. Okay, so we will see you then. And anything else? I wrote myself a note. What did it say? We did that. Okay. Amen. Thank you. Meeting is, somebody say I move to adjourn the meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Good job. It's adjourned. It's always in order. Okay. Thank you, Robert.